you use gradient and create disasters around it.
Some designs go viral while others don't.
Gen Z and design, first of all, does not go.
So when you're working on any project, would you rather prefer to make it a text-driven design or image-led design? Hello, my name is Tasneem Karimji and this is Marketing Unfiltered. I'm your official Gen Z graphic designer for today's masterclass. I'm the one who designs at lightning speed, crashes softwares for fun, and talks in vibes and aesthetics. And with me is the Thanos of our design universe, the man who doesn't need to snap because we make it happen regardless, Mr. Mithil Shetty. Hello sir, how are you?
I'm good, Tasneem. How are you?
I'm doing good too. So sir, I think each one of us is like your infinity stones.
Okay.
So we have our creative directors who are like the mind stones. Then we have the associate creative directors who are like the reality stone. Then we have our art directors, the space stone. Then the graphic designers who get the job done, so they're like the power stone. And then I think there's me, the soul stone. Because to deal with me, you have to sacrifice your peace.
So, Thanos, right? I'll take it as a compliment because for anyone to become a Thanos, they need all the right stones with them. And like you said rightly, I have the right set of people collectively put together. They are a bunch of great talent, powerful people, and most of all, they are irreplaceable. Right? When I talk about my people and talent, I'll go back to the point where you mentioned and you called yourself as the soul stone. So I agree, you are the soul stone for me because dealing with you and your energy day in, day out, it takes a part of my soul.
So sir, I have a few questions for you. So my first question is, what was the first ever design tool that you used? Paint?
Yes, paint, and I would, more than paint, I would say Corel Draw because that was the OG in our times. Like even before, better than Photoshop at that point. Still, there are a lot of people who use Corel Draw, not in a design agency, but if you go to a traditional format where you get all things printed, they still use and prefer Corel Draw.
Okay. What was like the viral aesthetic when you started working?
I think drop shadow. You will find it in anything and everything. That was the most happening thing back
All
then.
the retro pop posters and stuff.
Yes.
I still use it. Overuse it actually.
Yeah, but now it's like, there are a lot of better ways to put things across. But back then it was in trend, hence people used to use it a lot.
Yeah. What do you think is a very outdated design trick that you still secretly love?
Gradients, because it is one trick, because in gradient you can have multiple colors using, but a lot of people, maybe you also do this mistake, that you use gradient and create disasters around it. You will create rainbows around it. That is not what we need to do.
Okay.
You have to be mindful with the colors that you take because it has to blend seamlessly.
Right. I think for me, a very outdated design trick that I still very much overuse would be those half-tone
Dots.
Yeah.
The patterns that you're talking.
Yeah, I think it just adds character to your design and it just makes it pop,
Then why do you think it's overrated?
It's not overrated, I think it's outdated.
Why?
Because I think it gives a very retro vibe.
It depends on the way you use it. No?
Yeah.
The way you create the base for it, and the application is where everything matters.
Yeah. I guess.
For me, it is not outdated. For you, definitely it might be.
Be honest. How many design final versions do you save? Can't be one.
No. If I put everything together, basis the number of times client gives us feedbacks and revisions, I could create a series
Yeah.
of folders around it.
I it goes like final.
But do
Then
you
have-
even save your files? I at least save mine.
In my downloads folder, maybe. So for me, it goes like final, then you have final.
Yeah, that is one good habit that we have, that we are used to creating a lot of duplication of files. Like, we never overwrite any particular
Yeah.
file, but I've seen what you guys do. You never save your file. So that is not a problem with you guys, I feel.
So if you could like completely remove one design style from the modern design thing, what would it be?
There's no particular design style I would remove, but I would, suggest don't hop onto the design trends, because those are, temporary in nature. You want to go with what is trending. You rather just take inspiration and follow it, because I would not remove anything, because they all, are useful in the long run. It is just that when you look at it from a trends perspective, today it is useful, tomorrow it might not. That is a very wrong approach. So like you mentioned, right, you spoke about half-tone dots, I spoke about gradients.
Yeah.
So it's not something that it won't make sense in the near future. It is all basis the brief that you're working on. So I don't have any preference.
I feel like sometimes we take it too far with extreme minimalism. Do you think so?
No. If you had to define minimalism, see, there's a major problem when it comes to minimalism. That is the most difficult part to do. You can create a design which has a lot of things, the most easiest part. But the difficult part is in creating a minimal design. Because when I talk to people of your age and I tell them I need a minimal design, they'll not add anything. That is minimal for them. Making a minimal design is not about not adding anything, but it is about deciding what to remove from the design, which makes sense and makes it still relevant. So that is the difficult part. Because I can give you 10 things and I can tell you paint this picture, you'll put everything. But if I tell you now remove certain things to make it look minimal, you won't be able to do it. For that you need to have the right mindset, right amount of research.
So let's talk about stuff that nobody tells us as designers. What do you think brands pay designers for?
I think brands pay designers to basically visualize things, right? They see ideas everyone has,
Yeah.
but they need someone who could bring their ideas to life in form of visuals, and that is what designers. That is where designers come into the picture.
I think where we come into the play is where we need to give identity or like character to your daily life things.
Yeah, now you take any project, right, you work on, you first get a brief. So that brief is what? It's an idea that they had. Now they want us to develop on it further. Now imagine you don't use shapes, colors and stuff, right? And just imagine a world without it.
Yeah.
How would you get any visual, how will you, look at any visual without these elements existing? So I think that is what they pay us for, to get the right element. So when you talk colors, right, there are symbolism and significance when it comes to colors, shapes, even your typographies. So all these put together is what, we as designers will come into the picture, and that is what they'll pay us for.
Right. We just make the world so much more pretty
Yes.
and cool.
And not just pretty, but design that also solves a problem,
Yeah.
rather than just looking pretty.
Right. So, what do you think design as a language is?
I would say it should ignite all your senses, right? When you create a design, more than, I like this and this is the right design, who you are designing it for is very important. And wait, before I get to this, tell me, when you design on a brief, who do you think that design is for? Who sends you the brief?
The client?
Okay, so that design is for, whom do you design it for?
The target audience?
Are you always aware of your target audience?
Not always.
So do you design it to get the client's approval, or you design it so that the target audience understands your design? Be very honest.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it is basis on what the client wants and not
No,
exactly
I am asking, what do you do?
for the client approval.
Why so?
Because we just want to
Get done
it
and go home.
with, yeah.
Yeah. So that is what I'm saying. So it needs to ignite all the senses, not of your client, because of the end customer, right?
Right.
Because if that reaches that part, because it's not just about packaging, it could
Right.
be your digital, it could be your print ads, it could be anything.
Hmm.
But it needs to, when I talk about senses, like what you see, what you hear, right? All these things need to be active when you look at this. So like I've seen you multiple times, like most of the times on your phone, just scrolling, right? You will only stop at that moment where there's something interesting visually, right? That is what we need to do to grab that attention, not just in terms of looking pretty, but design as a language, it needs to speak to you.
Right. Evoke that sort of emotion.
Yes.
So why do you think some designs go viral while others don't?
Again, you know, this happens because of the trend, right? I'll give you a very recent example because AI is a very recent thing. A lot of things have started using, you know, there was a trend where people started using ChatGPT to create those filters and effects. So it was in trend because even people who are not designers, it was a very easy way of doing things, and even as designers, it made your life simpler because back then you used to sit and manually, you know, craft out stuff. But now, you know, with the help of prompts, and even in terms of design, if you think this design worked, then it is a safe area for you.
Yeah.
You think if this worked in the market, I will also do that because then this will also work. So a lot of people lack the courage to create something new because they think that I might fail or it might not work. That is why people just keep hopping into the design trends onto someone else's back
Yeah.
because they know it worked. And even clients do that because they feel it's a safe area.
So how do you feel about it? Like, for your work to go viral, you need to hop on trends, but that's not exactly what everybody would want to do. So what do you think?
I think you need to have a mix of both. I wouldn't say don't do that completely because it also depends on the ask, right? If the ask of the brief is, you know, I want it to be out there in the market, I want
Viral.
people to talk about it, then you need to have a mix of both.
Right.
But when you're doing that, always remember that you will be lost in the crowd.
Yeah.
If you need to stand out, in fact, being amongst all others, you need to have a distinct element in that.
Right.
Then only you will have the viral element also and you'll stand out also.
So do you think a good design for it to go viral or anything needs to be beautiful?
No, I will not recommend that because just beautiful, you can do that on your personal Instagram page, right? But when you're working for a brand or any product, your design has to solve something. Now, what is that solve? Like, there's a problem that comes to you in form of a brief. So, your design has to solve that problem, right? So, if it is just a beautiful design, you can add it to your portfolio, be happy about it, but it will never go through with a client in terms of a business problem. So, you have to make sure if it is definitely has to look good, but it has to also solve a design because without you solving it, this design makes no sense. It has no value.
So recently, as you've seen, we've been doing a lot of AI work. In office, we integrate AI into everything that we're doing so that our workflow is much more efficient and faster and better. So what do you think about it, like AI and human creativity? Do you think it's good for us to be up to date with AI, or is it like competition for us?
AI is definitely a companion for you. It is going to help you as a designer because see, I'll tell you, a lot of people are using AI to generate visuals and they are doing it well because there are prompts that are helping them to do so. And even the chat GPTs of the world are giving them how to prompt. But the strength that you will have as a designer is you know the visual world. You know what colors go well with contrast, what are complementary colors. You know all these things, you know shapes, you know everything. So now you have to use your strength and the tech of AI and you have to get these things together because what you used to do, say you take 4 hours to do something, now maybe you can achieve it in half an hour or 10 minutes. But to do that, to get the right output is very important because you can sit on AI and you can still put in hours and hours if you don't get the right output.
Right.
So use it as an advantage, right? But the same designer, if he or she does not use AI, then definitely it will be a competition because AI always works in a training model.
Right.
So there are many people who are training it and see whoever is using is AI, they are training themselves also.
Right.
So you also always have to have that leverage because you're a designer. you can get the best out of this AI because you are the one who's feeding prompts to it. You are the one who's training that model, right?
Right.
So that is how I look at it.
Yeah, even I think that it's very important that you sort of integrate it in your everyday workflow, because not only is it going to make you stand out from the crowd of designers who are taking hours to design it, but it's also going to make your work so much better.
Yes, see, I'll give you one recent example. You remember the movie poster
Yeah.
that we launched.
Right.
So if you look at it from a traditional perspective, you wouldn't be able to achieve that
Right.
in the timeline that we have done it.
Yeah.
And that was only possible because of human intervention and AI.
Right.
Right? We sketched the character first,
Yeah.
right? We created our own character,
Right.
and then we fed that character to AI, saying this is our character. Now give us the landscape for this poster. That is how we did it, like within record time, right? So if you had to manually sit down without AI being existing today, it would have taken weeks and months.
Definitely.
But this we pulled off in a day.
And I also feel like as graphic designers, we get to be so much more than just that through AI. Like if I was not getting that opportunity to learn AI and work on that movie project, I would have been just a graphic designer working on visuals for brands and stuff. But with the help of AI, I was able to do like pre-production level of work for a movie that we're launching, which is I think a huge opportunity which we got to work on because we decided that it's about time that we use AI in our workflow. So I think AI also unlocks a wide variety of opportunities for you as a person to grow and be more than what you think you are.
Yes, because see back then no, there was a lot of resistance when it comes to design. I come from a mainline background. I come from a digital background. I won't do this, I won't do that.
Yeah.
But with AI in existence, right, you have started multitasking because you can do that just with the right prompt.
Right.
So now the thing is, once you achieve the right output, you have confidence that you can do it. So now it is no more about I'll only do print ads. Now and you have the confidence that you're going to get the right output in the best quality available.
Right.
And plus with AI being there, millions of people using it, you can get inspired of multiple types of art styles.
Right.
What was your go-to thing was Pinterest, right? Behance, Pinterest, right? Now you're getting everything in one place.
Right.
So that makes you a multitasking person, and you start thinking at different levels, not just as a designer, but as an art director, as a creative director.
Right.
Because now you can even think about scripts, you can think about angles, because the way we did in the movie storyboarding as well.
And I think a lot of people in their heads, they have this thing that AI is going to replace us and stuff. But I feel like AI, as good as it is and as efficient it makes you, it still needs that human touch to give your work that emotion and that I mean I feel like AI still cannot like evoke those emotions when you look at those AI generated images and designs. So I think even in the long run, if we continue using AI, I don't think it's going to replace us. Do you think so?
I would not comment on that because see, like I mentioned, AI is training itself every day. Today it might not evoke those emotions, right? Tomorrow it might. You never know. But human intervention is always needed.
Yeah.
Because if you depend completely on something, then you are completely out of business.
Yeah.
So you have to be very smart about how much percentage of your talent and quality you want to use with this AI to get the best output.
Right.
So you cannot say that I'll do everything based on AI because you don't know how and where it is going in the near future, but I'm sure it is going to constantly develop. But you have to make sure that your contribution is there when it comes to emotions, right? You will understand it better than that AI model.
Right.
So I don't think it is going to replace unless and until you let it replace you.
So I think for so long as we are one with AI, we're not replaced, right?
Agreed.
So sir, what do you think is the biggest mistake that beginner designers make?
They rush to finish the job. That is the biggest and only mistake because it's like some race for them. They see this is a habit that they have and they end up working like a factory, right? So always first understand the brief, right? Not always you'll get a written brief. Sometimes it's a verbal brief. Sometimes you might not even get a brief. It's just an ask. But whatever the scenario, understand who is it for and what needs to be done. Ask certain important questions, be it to the people who you work with or to the client. Always ask, right? Next is research. That is the most important stage. That is what beginners miss, and that is because they directly jump to the canvas and then they'll start experimenting, trial, and they'll waste a lot of time and they'll not achieve anything.
Right.
So that is one of the biggest mistakes.
So do you think it's a Gen Z problem, and like do you have any advice for people who are just beginning their journey in design?
Yes. So I would say if you're planning to start your journey in design, always think of it as it's a process. It's not something that you take things from here and there and
Right.
you start something. You, like I just mentioned, you'll have to do your research. You'll have to look at a lot of inspiration.
Right.
Now when I say inspiration, not to copy someone but to get inspired, like what is happening around you, right? So you have to take a lot of inspiration. You have to look at multiple things happening around you and internationally as well, because when you talk minimal, the markets are different, the way they treat a color, the way they treat a design. Then after you do all of this, you understand, okay, this is what I can do best for this brief, and that is how you start designing. Because by the end of it, like we discussed one thing, the design should work for you. It should work for the brief, not just look like a good art piece, but it should work for you.
Right. So what is your like design process when you are working on a brief? How do you go on about it, and what are your personal favorite softwares or sites where you go for inspiration and research and all of that?
See, talking about process, you'll get the brief, go through it, understand all the what, hows and whys, then do your research. Now research can differ, right? You might be comfortable looking at the Pinterest board, some look at Behance. There are multiple sites that you go through, like there's a lot of people go to Ads of the World to go to different campaigns. Similarly, you have for packaging of the world. So all these places provide a good base for you to see what is happening globally. After that, you should create your mood board, right? You have you looked at hundreds of inspiration. It does not end there. Now you shortlist those inspirations, get it down to a mood board. Now you think of a concept, right? Now what can you do with these mood boards? You don't have to replicate them, right? So now you create concepts using these mood boards. Then before you even get to design, discuss that mood board, be it with your team and the client. Take them through your thought process. This is what I have in my mind, this is my mood board, these are the color palettes, these are the shapes, this is the environment I'm going to work in. Align them to that. So once the client is aligned to your mood board, your concept, 90% you're going to get the design right. That 10% if the brief changes, but 90% you're going to get the design right. Once your mood board is locked, then get into the execution part, right? Now while you're executing, like I have two favorite software which is like the most known. One is your Photoshop and Illustrator. A lot of people choose one, that to Photoshop, not Illustrator, because Illustrator is where you have to manually create things, right? Then after execution, this is where a lot of people fail. They think I export the JPEG and my job is done. That is what you would do, right? That is the wrong thing, right? You need to know how to sell your work. If someone else is going to come and sell it for you, they'll do that, but they'll not do it with the knowledge of design that you have created it with. So if you can't sell what you have created, if you can't convince people with what you have created, so convincing will happen in two parts. One is in the way you present it, second in what you have created. That design itself needs to be convincing. There needs to be clarity in that. So that presentation part is very important. So if you fail at that part, because using the right the right choice of words, the mocks that you create, the way you present, see, your product can be very bad, but if the packaging is really great, the presentation is great, you'll at least go and pick that product once in your life. After you consume, you don't like it, you might not purchase it, but for you to at least try it once, the presentation has to be really good.
Right.
Because that is the only deciding factor, right? How would you know whether the product is good or not?
Yeah.
You will take it basis the presentation.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I think as designers, one really important thing for all of us to learn is to be able to sell our work.
Yes, because you, be it you're working in an agency as a
Yeah.
designer, you're working as a individual, you always need to know how to sell your design, how to
Exactly.
present your design.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, how much of hours you have invested, if you fail at that part, you fail at everything.
Yeah.
Because you can sell a very bad design with a great presentation.
And that has happened with us multiple times as well. That where I feel like a lot of times it happens that a designer who designs well, but sells their design much better than a designer who designs really good. Like,
I'll tell you, it has helped us in a
Yeah.
lot of cases with our clients, right?
right.
Before we used to give them decks with all
Yeah.
the designs. They used to look at it, okay, you know, the subjective, design is subjective. They'll give you
Exactly.
subjective
Yeah.
feedback. But the moment you started creating presentations in terms of storytelling, when I say presentation, there has to
Yeah.
be storytelling, not
Yeah.
just a PPT.
Right.
There has to be a storytelling, right? From why you have created this, why this, how this has evolved from this level to the end result.
Right.
So the moment you do that, you're educating the client as well.
Hmm.
It is not just you're educating someone who's going through that presentation.
Right.
So the moment they understand what you have done,
Hmm.
then you are in a win-win situation. So
Right.
do it from a perspective of educating someone.
Yeah.
If your storytelling is strong about your product and design and they understand it well, then you have achieved the goal.
Right. I think a lot of times there are designs that we have designed which are they're very well thought of, but the idea is still in your head. So presentation definitely just helps you get everything across and
Storytelling in the presentation,
Yeah,
not just because if I
storytelling in the
just tell you presentation, tomorrow you'll go and just create PPTs, but that is not
Yeah.
how it is. You have to have storytelling.
yeah, and that is I think one thing that I've learned here. Like before joining JCL, that was not the case for me. That I prepared, like proper storytelling presentations and stuff. But then once I got into it and I realized how much it helps you to convey your thought process and message, it has become like a daily thing in my process where I have to, even if it's like an internal thing, I feel like it's best to create a short story format presentation for your idea, just to help you get like that sort of head start when you get a brief and you start working on something. So I think that's a very important thing that I think all designers should
Yes,
incorporate.
irrespective of whatever levels they're working on,
Yeah.
they need to do this for sure because clients now have started asking for it.
Exactly.
Now we have reached a point where they, proactively come and they're like, what, this is what you did for this brief. Now we want you to do this for each and everything because it helps them also.
Right.
When they go and take it forward to the management, it helps them also.
Right. So what do you think differentiates a good designer from like the best designers?
I would say, I will only talk about great designers, right? How are they different? Because when they are designing something, they know the what, when, why, how.
Yeah.
They take care of all these things and then they get into design. The intent is important.
Right. So when, like if you are working on a project, when do you think that you're done with the project? Like when do you think your design is the final version? From your end, of course.
For me, I would say when I present that design to someone and it gives you that clarity, right? And especially when I present it to a non-design background person and it gives them the clarity, then that is when I feel, I've achieved it. Because if I go around showing it to my design people, they'll always think from a design lens. But I need to show it to some, an outsider with a different perspective. And in the first look, if they are able to understand what I tried to put into that design, if there is clarity and it is working for them, like I said, design needs to work, right? Then I think I've cracked it.
So sir, we have a lot of Gen Z designers like myself. So what do you think is your favorite part about working with such a big team of Gen Z designers?
Gen Z designers. Okay. See, Gen Z and design, first of all, does not go together, right? Because when I say design, you need two things.
Yeah.
One is creativity, which definitely you guys have. Patience, which you don't have, right? Now, patience comes in different forms. In terms of patience to understand what your lead is trying to tell you for the brief, to understand the client's feedback, the number of revisions, the patience to give that much of time, right? Uh, I would say be less influenced by the trends, be less influenced by what is happening around, be more into, and first of all, try to learn the traditional way of design, right? Today, yes, there are platforms and tools with AIs and everything, but always learn the traditional way of design, because that is what the Gen Z lack. They don't know how a traditional design works. So today when I go around my team, they are talented people, but I see them wasting a lot of time. Even they'll not even use shortcuts, right? I'm sure even you don't know the shortcut key on your keyboards, because we have come from that traditional way. Because I can finish a project using the same tools, but with the help of shortcuts, but with the, even if I'm working in layers or any such thing, because I'm doing it in a traditional manner. Tomorrow I'll disconnect the internet from your machine. I want to see how you design manually. You won't be able to, you'll be clueless,
Yeah.
right? Because you will be like, oh, I'm completely relying on Pinterest. I'm completely relying on your supporting platforms like FreePick. But the moment I disconnect your net and you are only relying on your mind, what would you do? So I'm saying always get into the traditional format of manually designing something. I'm not talking about drawing, because that is an art that will differ from person to person, but always get in the traditional method of design. So Gen Zs need to have that patience to learn, because you all want all things to happen very fast. You introduced yourself as someone who's very, has that speed and everything. It's a good thing. It is an advantage for us, but not always speed, is works for us. You need to have that stability also. You need to have that patience. So that is something, and I'm sure you guys will achieve it. But it is just that you have a lot of options to look around, so you are distracted.
But what do you think is like one good thing that Gen Zs bring to the workplace?
They are very energetic, enthusiastic. They are very proactive in terms of learning what is happening in the world, right? They'll get all those things to our plate. Like, they'll know more than us, right? They'll know what is happening. They'll know the right trends. They'll know the right, if I tell them go find out what is happening in XYZ place in terms of design, in terms of the concepts, they'll get it to us. They are very dynamic and energetic and enthusiastic. So I
They love
think,
working with us.
yeah, so it's a balance, right? The Gen Z vibe along with a millennial stability, that is how we'll have to work.
So in this session, we talked about what do designers do, good designers and bad designers, and how you can integrate AI into your day-to-day design jobs. And if you have more such questions, join us at Soul, and we would love to answer them. Right, sir?
Exactly.
Okay, so moving forward, I have some would you rather questions for you that I would like to ask you.
Go ahead.
Okay. So my first question for you is, would you rather go for a universally loved and tried and tested sort of a design, or would you rather go for a very niche sort of a design aesthetic?
It will always depend on the brief that I'm working for. I would rather want to mix it, because if I go for a universally appealing design, it caters to the mass audience, then definitely I would go for, because I cannot choose one, right? I would rather have a mix of it. I would want to cater to a larger audience, but with my,
Take on it.
yes, that is what I would want to do.
Oh, makes sense. I think I personally would like to go for, if I'm designing for myself and if it's like a personal project, I would like to go for a very niche sort of a design aesthetic, try a few things, maybe things that don't generally work well together. But then I would, if it's my own project, I would like to piece together things from different, non-workable sort of aesthetics and then make it work somehow, if I can do that.
I agree, but I still think you should also explore a design that is universally accepted, because that is where the lot of learnings are.
Right.
Because the more restricted your audience is, the lesser you learn.
Yeah.
You should definitely do this, but
Yeah.
also have a mix of that as well for learning curve.
Makes sense. So, would you rather go for a trend-led design aesthetic or a timeless one?
Timeless one, because that will be there for a longer time. Things that happen in trend, they disappear also fast,
Right.
right? So I would rather stick to something that is there forever.
So, do you have a favorite timeless style design?
For me, especially, like one of the biggest projects that we worked, right? When I say timeless, something that stays, right?
Right.
So you think of it from a branding project's perspective, or like we did something for an airline, right? Uh, it started as a small logo for a project, then it evolved into something bigger, that is designing the whole airline, the livery. So today it will stay there, right? You go to an airport or you just see that plane passing by, it will always be there. You look at any such classic brands, right? You'll always feel, oh, I wish I had designed this. But something that you do basis a trend, yes, today it will be very relevant, it might be relevant for a week, but after that it changes.
Right.
Then you won't find yourself there. So for me, it will always be one of those. Like, you know, we did it for Akasa Airline. We always feel proud when we are there. You know, when we go to any airport or we just see that flight passing by, we know it's there. It's going to stay there for a while, and we always, you know, that satisfaction is there.
Right.
So one of my example would be that, and there are multiple such brands you'll always love. You know, you give examples of brands like Apple, you give Cadbury's, you give Air India's, because they have been there for a while. Right, because you can see it, it's a thing that you can see.
Right.
So that is what I would,
Something that people talk about for
Yeah.
a long, long time. Yeah.
not just this generation, but the coming generations as well.
I would love to also work on a timeless design.
Yeah, that is where, you know, there's value.
Yeah.
And I would also recommend a lot of people, see, it is not just always, I will decide what I want to work on, but whatever you work on, just give it your 100%.
Yeah.
So that you never know, because even this project that we worked on, it started with an identity.
Right.
The way that identity, you know, developed, that is how it went on. Even I'll give you an example of our brand, right? We launched a pet food brand. It started with, again, an identity. They loved it. They took it on to a level where it went on to the packaging. So it has been launched into the market by the names Waggies. Similarly, what we have done with Invisalign, the brief was to create a box for kids, right? We knew this is going to stay. It's a tangible asset. So what we did was we went a step ahead. We created a character for it, a dino. It was for kids. So they loved the character so much globally. Now they made it their mascot, and they are now using it everywhere as part of the kids program, the product that they have. So that is how it has been expanding globally.
So, when you're working on any project, would you rather like prefer to make it a text-driven design or image-led design?
Image-led works more, not from a perspective more for me, works more for the people I'm doing it for, because text-driven things is not something that everyone will understand, right? It has a niche audience, right? But a visual-led thing, a lot of people will understand, irrespective of which generation or what age group they fall into, because you will still decode something in a visual. Compared to if I do a smart play within a typography, you might have to look at it twice or thrice to understand it. So I would stick to a visual one.
So personally, do you like maximalism more or minimalism more?
I prefer minimalism, but I'm bound to go with maximum. Because see, what would you prefer? Because the market is very different, right? The problem is we take inspiration from global market, but we work for the Indian market. Now global market works very differently, the way they design their things, because their market consumes and understands that thing. But the same thing, if you come and show your clients in an Indian market, they'll be like, I can't see anything in
Design
them.
kidhar hai?
Right. So what do you prefer?
I think personally, I prefer my designs to be more on the minimalism side, but I also like to experiment with it. Like I don't want it to be super minimalistic. I want it to have one hero element or something that is poppy, and I like to just experiment with it so that it doesn't look plain or it doesn't look too boring. I feel like sometimes with minimal designs it can
But a lot of people get scared to do minimal designs because in that you have restricted elements. So the moment you are restricting your elements, the justification or convincing factor is at risk in terms of explaining what your concept is. The moment you think that I can put 10 things into it, you think you are in a safer zone because you have given them everything.
Right.
So do you think with your minimal approach you will be able to convince someone the concept that you have in your mind?
I feel like that's why I like to have that one standout element that sort of, that maybe it could be like a bold color choice or that bold typography. But it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be layered with 10 different things. It can be just a bold typography and it could be a minimal design, but the typography speaks for the design.
So if someone had to understand like what a minimal design is, just give me few examples of it. That anything that you like.
I think Apple also has a very minimal design aesthetic, but it does not have those hero visuals all the time. I think it runs on that super minimalistic design approach. So my next question is, would you rather try bold experimentations or stick to brand rules?
I would stick to bold experimentation because that gives me as a designer freedom, an opportunity to explore, right? So if I play by the books or just say a brand safe rules, the client already knows what they want and I'm sure they've experimented it. But if they're coming to us, we also need to go beyond a certain extent and make them realize, this is also something that we can achieve. I realized you mentioned a brand Apple multiple times. They are known for their bold experimentation. They don't follow the world. They have the first mover advantage. Like there are people who will appreciate it. There are people who will be like they're not very happy about it. But the reality is people follow them, right? And they have built the whole legacy around that one icon, right? So people buy it for that. They no more look at the technicalities of the product. They want it as a status symbol. So similarly, to have that bold experimentation, you have to go there. You need to have that courage. You need to go and experiment. Then only you will know whether you are capable of doing something great. Because if you just keep playing by the books, you will be just another designer for them, who is doing the same thing for them.
So to be a great designer, you need to.
Yes, you have to push your boundaries.
Yeah. So what do you think is worse, client feedback or a creative block?
Creative block.
Worse than client feedback?
Yeah. Client feedback is subjective. You can talk to them. You can give them your perspective. You can, make some tweaks, handle it. You can change the situation. But when there's a creative block, you're stuck. You'll need to get out of it because then you're stuck, then you cannot do anything, right? So for me, that is a worse situation. Client feedback is not a worse situation. Maybe that situation will help me do better because not always, see, a lot of people take client feedback as a very negative thing. I won't say they are wrong. They are right at times, but client feedbacks also help us in terms of understanding their customers. We might not know their customers as good as they know it. So it always helps them to take their feedback in terms of how to incorporate it into our design. So like I said, you should keep that window open to accept what they're saying, but be very smart about what to take from their feedback and what to incorporate. So again, my thing goes with creative block because that is the most important thing for me and the team.
Yeah, I think thinking about it more, client feedbacks are not so bad, right?
For me, no. For you, I don't know.
So my next question is, Canva or no Canva?
No Canva at all. Do you prefer Canva?
I think,
Yes, you do.
no, I would say that sometimes it can help you with like getting those stock images or.
I wouldn't prefer. See, Canva is good for people who come from a non-design background because it helps them a lot. But when you think about design, ठीक है, like you start, you want to do something in terms of you have templates, you have multiple things, you want to do something as a fast approach, go there. But if design is something that you want to enter or you want to build your career in, don't go to Canva, right?
Yeah.
So like the whole time that we spoke about is originality, creativity. So take that canvas, right? The canvas is very important. So you need to create your own thing on that canvas. Canva could be a platform for you, but again, taking all the ready-made elements, keep one thing in mind, there are millions others who are using the same elements. So there's nothing new that you're doing. So I wouldn't prefer that.
Yeah, I think only when it is a requirement, like when you want to get some elements out of it, or when you know that you need to create a GIF, you have the like already made stills for the GIF, and maybe you just want to make a GIF. I think incorporating it in your workflow is better than to completely avoid it, even if it requires you to get things done quickly.
As long as people like you in my team are going to deliver it to me as per my brief, use whatever you want.
No, I just think that not to use it for designing, but I think using it to enhance your efficiency is good.
It's okay. Like we spoke about AI also, right? If you use it to enhance something, definitely use it.
Yeah, I think Canva is majorly AI based. Like they have so many like background remover.
That is now, not when they started.
Not when they started.
So it keeps developing, but that is what I'm saying. The more you get used to something being served on a platter, right? You on a click, the less you learn about it.
Right.
You will always be like, oh, on one click I'm getting all the templates ready, on one click I'm getting the animation ready.
Right.
So that is not the way to go around, right? Imagine in our team, people design. But the mandate that I have given to certain people is you also need to know how to animate it. Right? If you are a motion designer, you need to know how to animate a super or how to design a super. If you keep coming to a designer, then what is the point of being a motion designer?
Right.
Similarly, a graphic designer, you need to kill the dependencies. You need to be efficient. You need to be fast, and that can only happen if you have the right skill set. Now, be it Canva, be it Photoshop, or be it AI, you need to learn and know how to take advantage of these platforms and get the best result.
So do you think designers are more of morning people or like night owls?
In my journey, the kind of people I've worked with and still working, they all are night owls, because it is a thing that in the morning, in the daytime, there's a lot of chaos in terms of multiple people coming to you, briefs coming in. So that is when they take all the time just to understand what needs to be done. But by the time they start designing, that is towards the end of the day, everyone leaves, they are at peace. So that is when they prefer, being at that peace, listening to music, getting something great out without a lot of pressure and disturbance. So they tend to be those night owls because they have seen, it works for them. Again, while I'm saying night owls, there are people who prefer mornings one, but this is what I've seen majority of creative people being in the night owls.
So moving on to the last segment for the day, I'll be asking you some of the most searched questions on the internet about design. So are you ready?
Yes.
So what do you think designers actually do in an agency?
They'll first take the brief, they'll understand. There are designers who will execute things, there are designers who will conceptualize things, there are designers who will be a part of a larger picture, right? Because our job roles are very different, even in design, because for the world outside, design is just a graphic piece, right? But when it comes to working in an agency, a design role is very different. So like in our team, we have right from an intern, graphic intern, to a graphic designer, then you have your art directors, art supervisors, then you have your creative directors and ACDs, right? So the job role is defined for everyone, right from cracking a brief to decoding the brief, uh, you know, executing the look and feel of a particular campaign or a packaging idea, then moving on to cracking the visual or presentations like we spoke about. So this is what a designer will do in a single day. So his or her life will revolve around this.
Around these things. So, do you think designers needs to know how to draw to be a designer?
Not really, because there are a lot of talents that come across, you know. Yeah, this is one of, you know, people think that to be a designer I need to know how to draw. That is not true, because people come from fine art backgrounds, also people come from commercial backgrounds. People also come from neither of these backgrounds. They are engineers, and you know, you need to have a creative mind, because the skill set in terms of tools, that is something we'll, you know, give it to you. But the creativity that is there in your mind, you need to get it along with you, because that is something that will differ. The tools are the same, like you and another designer will use the same tool in a different manner, because the way you use your creative knowledge. So that is something is important. Knowing how to draw is not important unless the job that you're applying for needs you to draw. It's a different ask. But other than that, if you're a designer, not necessary that you need to know how to draw.
Right. So it's just a common like misconception.
Yeah,
about
because from a young age, what is design, right? You draw, you color, that is what you have been doing.
Right.
So things have evolved, things have changed. So if you don't know how to draw, it's okay. You can still be a designer, because there are tools that help you to do the same.
Right. It's just an advantage if you know.
Yes. Because right now, before it was pen, pencil, crayons. Right now, the tool, the most powerful tool is that mouse that you use, right? Everything is there within that. All the tools, right, from a pen tool to a brush tool, everything is there on a click.
Right.
So that is what you need.
So, as a designer, what softwares do you think we should learn first?
So I would definitely advise, you know, if you are someone who's planning to begin your journey in design, get your hands dirty in each and every software you could possibly do, right from a Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere, After Effects. And why am I saying to do all of these things? Because you'll know what your strengths are and where you need to improve, right? Because if I tell you only have this expertise in Photoshop, that is not how it is going to work, because the market changes, the demand changes, the ask changes. So tomorrow, if you are only aware of one software and I give you a project which requires you to use Illustrator and you are not in a position to do that, that means you're going to lose out on that opportunity.
Right.
Maybe you might not be relevant to me in the near future. So you need to know a little bit of everything and a lot of some special software. Like Photoshop and Illustrator is a must.
Yeah.
That is a definite that you need to know.
So, so what is the difference between a graphic designer and a creative director?
So difference, there's one difference. A graphic designer knows the how, like, you know, how to do this, the execution part. They are really good at it. An art director or a creative director will know the why, what. They'll take these factors into consideration, because they need to be very sure of the work that is happening, the team that is working on a brief. It makes some sense, it works for them. Because if they just do it blindly, it is just going to be a piece of art in their portfolio. So this is a difference. Because, and how you become one is by doing a lot of work, by proactively, you know, cracking a lot of ideas, conceptualizing, also learning in the due course. You'll also work with a lot of different minds in the same team. In this process, you learn how to deal with people, how to deal with clients, how to deal with people like me, right? So you learn the pressure, you learn criticism, how to handle criticism. So in this manner, you'll grow in your career and in your personal life, and in this manner, you'll earn that respect, and you'll also earn a lot of people who would want to work with you. Because see, the only inspiration is not the Pinterest board. Your leads are also your inspiration and motivation. So you need to also be one of them to be able to manage a team. So I think that is how you keep going on, and that is how you become a creative director and more.
So do you think after we've already discussed about integrating AI into our jobs and everything. Do you think AI could replace us?
No. If you allow it, yes. When I say if you allow it, if you are sitting here thinking I'll let AI do everything just by giving it certain prompts, it will definitely replace you, right? But like I said, if you use AI to your advantage, make it a tool like you have a Photoshop, Illustrator, make it one of those tools and use it to your advantage, and it will always help you get better at what you're doing. I don't think it will replace you if you use it in the right manner.
But do you think like with AI, our job roles could be different later on?
With AI, yes, your job roles can be different. Again, it depends, right? Today in our team, right, I've seen people using AI to, before they used to be dependent on their seniors, right? He or she will crack some look, they'll crack a campaign, then they'll come to us, they'll sit with us, then they'll give us the download on how to get into the execution. Right now, I'm looking at them because they have AI. They themselves are doing all the research, they themselves figuring out the different concepts that can be achievable. So they're using all these things and doing their part, and then they're coming to us saying, what, I can do this in this timeline, and this is the output, and they show us that output because AI gives you immediate outputs. And then they give us that proof of concept, and we are very much in confidence in what they can achieve. So this has overall built their confidence also, because something that they were not aware of before, now they are doing it seamlessly.
So do you think when suppose a client comes to you with AI generated design or something, how do you feel about it when you get such a brief?
To be honest, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
Okay, because the way we use AI and the way they use AI is very different. Like it's design, right?
Right.
So when I use AI and when I generate certain stuff, at least I know whether I can achieve this in real time, whether this can be converted into something that they need. But when they are using AI, they are just looking at the visual part of it. They'll be like, this is what I've generated, looks very nice, please recreate it. But that is not how reality works.
Right.
When we look at it, we also take into consideration a lot of things. Especially when you're working in terms of colors, the amount of colors that will go into this particular design, the materials that will be needed to achieve the same thing, even the type. For someone it could be it's just a design, but for us it's an illustration style. I need a specialist to do this, I need these many hours to achieve this. So all these things I'll take into consideration. But someone, if they come and tell me, this is something I achieved in 5 minutes and you have been doing it for hours, I won't feel nice. But yes, if they are going to help me, say, I have certain ideas, this is my idea that I've used AI for you to show, then I'm okay with it, because they are not designers, they cannot draw for us. But if they have something which they can visually show us, it is a plus point.
So here's my last question for you, sir. How do you think designers can stay creative under tight deadlines?
They need to have patience, right? And that is the only way they can stay creative, because if they get frustrated because you're getting a lot of feedbacks and the timelines are very tight, you won't be able to think. The only thing that you'll have in your mind is, I need to finish this soon. So let go of that and be very patient. That is what I request, and that is the most important thing that a designer needs to have. If you have that patience, please come be a part of this design field. But if you lack that patience, then it is not for you, because you need a lot of patience to deal with your peers, to deal with your leads, deal with the clients, even to deal with the fact that you're not getting the design right. You won't get it right in the first go. You need to do a lot of experimentations, and the timelines don't change. Whatever you have to do it within the stated timeline. So keep yourself calm and patient, and you'll achieve that.
I definitely agree with you on this one. I think being patient when you are working on tight deadlines is definitely very important to be able to think more creatively. So I definitely agree with you on that one, sir. So thank you so much for your time and answering all these questions for us.
It was fun, and I'm sure you have learned a lot of things, and I've also learned a
Definitely.
lot of things from your perspective.
Yeah.
For more such exciting masterclasses, subscribe to our channel. See you at Seoul.